You and your lock camera 1 and 2.
Rolling.
Fine, audio is audio.
I'm rolling.
Alright, 2 rolling and...
We're recording? You don't trust me?
No.
Okay, are we ready?
Can't make up words while you...
And I've been pulling ugly faces, good. Hi everybody and welcome to episode 16 of Knights of the Round Table. Today we are discussing the book Sten by, I forgot to write down the authors,
Allan, Cole, and Chris Bunch.
Thank you.
Those guys!
Those dudes! Yup. So I'm going to start with general impressions, and I start with the Bill.
You always start with me
No
here.
pressure. No pressure.
So much pressure!
So much pressure. Well,
It's-
since I threw the book into the bowl, I guess I have to admit that I do like this bowl. Or this... Can I wear the bowl?
It's a nice bowl. It's a really nice bowl. Yeah, keep going.
I do love this book, actually, because it is one of my favorites. I've read it about half a dozen times, and it's one of the books that if I just want to find something to read, I grab it.
Mm. Okay.
I like this book too. I found it an extremely fast read. There was a couple of little issues with it, but for the most part, pretty good read.
Yeah, I agree. It was a pretty good read. Sci-fi is not my preferred genre. But, because to be fair, I haven't been exposed to an awful lot of it. I think Dune was the big sci-fi book that I've read, and the rest has been kind of meh.
And this is military sci-fi, too, on top of it.
Well, yes and no. I really enjoyed it. It does have a couple of tropes that make me roll my eyes, but other than that, it's a really good, fun, fast read. I quite enjoyed it.
On the subject of the military sci-fi, I did a minor in history, and that was really like, war stuff, so I love the war books. This was one of the few examples where the military segments of the book were probably the things I liked the least about it. Mm-hmm. They went on quite a bit, about breaking down stages and strategy and throwing out all the acronyms, and for the most part I eat that kind of stuff up, but I didn't really feel that it fit terribly well within the overall flow of how well the book was flowing.
No, I agree. I think the military aspects of it were the least interesting, but that's because really it was really more training. When it got to actually out in the field where he's a mantis and they're actually doing stuff, that stuff is interesting. But all the training stuff that led up to it, I'm like, oh. And it went nowhere in the end. He washed out. Like, Jesus, really? What?
Actually, I was okay with the training stuff.
Really?
Because I thought that was building into something, but you're right, there was a disconnect right there.
It was building, and then he washed out.
It was right at the beginning of the whole Mantis stuff. I think basically... probably halfway through the Mantis stuff, actually, was all the military garbage, for a lack of a better word, that was really harsh.
I guess the training aspects with when he was still in the army, shall we say?
In the guard, yeah.
Yeah, in the guard, yeah. And so forth. You got to see that he was not a team player. And that's why washing out and then going into Mantis was probably...
Yeah, but you got to see that before, though.
Yeah.
Well, all his commanding officers said it too. They were like, listen, we're going to put you through the training. We're going to see. Maybe you're going to surprise us. But all of them were saying, we're pretty sure, based on your psych profile, that you're not the guy for this. But we're going to give you the shot anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That military training part. I think it was just because it was so disconnected that he got all of this way and then just washed out. So. And I know he went into the Mantis immediately after that because he was way more suited to it, but I mean, they knew that he was well before he washed out, and it should have been shorter, that section, in my opinion.
Yeah.
My not so expert opinion, but whatever. That's what I thought.
I wonder if that has a lot to do with the author's background.
Probably.
Because was it?
Are they military?
Chris Bunch was actually in Vietnam, and was an Army Ranger, I believe.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Allan Cole, although he was just a writer and screenwriter as well. His father was actually in the CIA, so sort of an interesting combination of the way books unroll.
See, the feel of the military stuff was good. Like, I felt that it felt authentic. One thing that was annoying the crap out of me a little bit was when his training officers were yelling at people. There was sentences and sentences and sentences of capitalization. And I was like, okay, we get it. They're yelling at you. They're drill sergeant-like. You know, that's fine. We get it. But so many caps.
It's like Skullsy's Twitter account.
Sort of reminded me of the Full Metal Jacket, the training scenes in there.
That's obviously what they were going for.
Yeah.
But just as a thing that you're reading, you're like...
Yeah.
Yeah, a little brush on the eyes.
Okay. Stop with the capitals.
Stop shouting at me. Stop it. I actually, I couldn't get my hands on a physical copy of the book, so I had the audio book. I forget who it was read by, but it was actually really, really well done. So yeah, if you don't have a physical copy, I do recommend the audio book.
I read that in one of the reviews that the audiobooks were really well done.
Yeah, very well done.
Like the guy said he's not a big fan of them, but this particular reader was actually very
the reader was very, very,
enjoyable.
very good. Yeah,
So.
I prefer to have a book in hand. I dislike audiobooks just because the distraction. For me, reading is the thing to focus on when I'm reading. I like maybe some music, but nothing else. You just sit and you read and you get totally involved in the story. It's a lot harder to do that with an audiobook because there are visual distractions everywhere, and so I keep...
Given how busy I am, I really should listen to more audiobooks, because when I'm on the road driving, I have time, you know. But I also like to read, and I don't care whether it's you know,
an ebook
or a physical copy.
Yeah. My latest read was on ebook because I couldn't really figure out where I put the rest of my hard copy book down in Dawn's playroom.
Yeah, it went down and was never seen again.
Yeah. Along with the rest of the
goddamn
series.
Dark Tower series. I still can't find it. I'm so mad.
Okay, so how did you guys like the beginning of the book when he was still on Vulcan?
I liked his escape an awful lot.
Escape was good.
Yeah, his escape was... I liked it because it showed, without being force-fed, that Sten was a clever, clever boy. Like, he was smart. Yeah. And I really like that in my protagonists, because people who are accidentally heroes annoy me. But Sten was very deliberately very clever.
Yeah.
I was really, really bummed out when his girlfriend just sort of died in the escape.
Yes. Well, died.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, spoiler territory, but I didn't see that coming. Yeah. And it was one of the things that, you know, I sort of took a note of that I wanted to mention in this thing. I wanted to be like, yeah, no. I was really bummed out by the fact that they had this really nice little relationship going and they just offed her for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
But then, you know, 200 pages later, surprise!
Yeah, I know. When I listened to that, and he's like, Bet? And I'm like, oh, yay! Because she was capable, she was clever, and the fact that she had become like the military leader of the Delinks in his absence says a lot about her character, and I really, really, really enjoy that in my female character. She wasn't just the romantic interest. She wasn't there just for the main character to fawn over, or to fawn over the main character. She was a complete and capable woman in her own right, and I really enjoyed that. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I really liked her character. It was because at first when he saw her, I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be one of these, isn't it? Turns out, no, she's pretty awesome. Yeah, so yay! One of the things that made me roll my eyes at this book is Sten's origin character. Because he's the fantasy equivalent of the farm boy who becomes prince, essentially. And he is... Yeah, that would be why. Because it's something that you see all the time. It wasn't particularly different. And so because I see it all the time, regardless of genre, actually, I just kind of went, oh yeah, okay, I know where this is going. Also, uber foreshadowing that was so obvious it made me want to punch the book. was the stories when Sten was little, and then they make a special mention of the legend of the Mick, who will one day lead them to freedom. I'm like, oh god, geez, I wonder who that will be.
Yeah, that was bothering me a little bit. There was a lot of things about the intro section that did bother me. Like, for a while, they spent a lot of time talking about his parents and their role in the thing, and then all of a sudden, they're gone. And I was like, where is this leading? And then, like, he's starting to grow up, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't feel like it was handled particularly well, but they got better.
Yeah, I do like the interactions he had with his parents, because it shows you where Sten gets the intention, the overwhelming intention and drive to get the hell off Vulcan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, Vulcan guys, really? Yeah, exactly. Live long and prosper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I guess given the time frame of when this was written, I think Star Trek was big at that time because the movies had just started coming out.
Yeah, but but
Star Wars was big.
Really obvious.
Yeah, you could definitely see where they're
a different name.
You could also even some of the plot points in there. You can see where they're going. You know.
Well, actually, I found some of the plot points extremely similar to Dune.
Yeah.
Like Muad'Dib, Sten, almost the same character. Really? The political intrigue, the Baron, wanting the throne more or less, wanting to get the Emperor. Although I liked that in this case the Emperor was slightly mad, and he was a great character, and also not the bad guy, as far as we know yet. This is the first book in the series.
Yeah.
So.
Apparently, he does make some smoking chili.
Yeah.
Which endears me to him.
Every book that they've written, the Emperor does some sort of cooking dish.
Oh, does he?
Yes, for a briefing, for a mission briefing, basically.
If I was a galactic emperor in this guy's defense,
forever?
I would do a lot of cooking too. I mean, it's just one of those things, you're sitting there being like, oh, politics, planetary takeover, politics, I need some chili.
What I liked about
son.
the audiobook was the Eternal Emperor had an Australian accent.
Can't trust him.
Anyway, was it in this book where the Emperor talks about what he had to do to get them to make Scotch correctly?
Yeah, no, he tries Scotch, and his head of security, what's his name?
Oh, Ian Mahoney?
Mahoney, yeah.
Actually, head of
like
Mantis.
No, because the first one he's like, it's not bad, and so the Emperor tries it, like, nah, this is awful, and then he gets some actual whiskey or Scotch or whatever it was, and gives it to Mahoney. Mahoney's like, and the Emperor's like, oh yeah, this is the stuff. Accurate to Australian taste buds. Hashtag Vegemite.
Yep.
Shut your mouth, it's the food of the gods.
Bacon would disagree.
Wait till they get to the Strig in book 3.
Oh, excellent.
Actually, talking of the characters' names, somewhere around the middle of the book, they started having, I guess, a lot of characters from different worlds, like especially like the Mantis crew.
There was frickin' frack and...
Yeah, well, I mean, frickin' frack, whatever. But there was a couple of names that I was just looking at. I'm like, I can't really talk about these on camera because I have no idea how to pronounce these things. But it kind of... That was yet another factor that slowed down like the middle of the book. Right around that, he gets kicked out of the regular forces and goes into that Mantis. That area had a lot of things about it which really slowed down the book for me. Right up until his assassination, basically.
Well, until Vanessa attacks?
Yeah. Then it sped up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of this, I think, to some extent, based on an interview, I think, I'm not sure which author it is, but they indicated that this book, or actually the whole series, was supposedly one novel broken down into 8 different parts.
I can totally see that. I have a 6-part book that I'm currently rewriting. That's it was exactly the same thing. Yeah.
So in a way, some of that slow down character building in the middle of this book is character building for the next book.
Yeah, it pays off and then...
So it's just sort of where they chopped, pretty
Yeah.
much.
And it makes sense for them to chop there because it was sort of the completion of that particular story.
No, the overall conclusion made sense for the book. I mean, if the book was just a standalone, the ending was wrapped up neatly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you can read that one sort of as a standalone.
Yeah.
Later on in the series, you pretty much have to read them in order.
Yeah.
I like that about book one, though. I find that a lot of the time, book one really should be a standalone that can also bridge you into a really good book two.
Yeah.
You know? But you have to be able to read a book one and be like, okay, that was a good book in itself, which doesn't force you to, you want to read book two because you really like book one, not because the story of book one was incomplete.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So they succeeded in that.
Yeah. They did a really good job. Good on you guys. That I went full Australian for that. Holy mackerel.
Hey, that's your prerogative.
You got me talking about Vegemite and then suddenly everything's Australiana.
And she hasn't had any of the rum today.
No. Bundaberg rum, feel free to send me some. That rhymed. Not
boy.
sponsored.
Okay.
Was there anything else that really bugged you about the book? Because really, honestly, Sten's sort of Moa Dib kind of cross fantasy farm boy thing bugged me. But that's really the only thing that did enough to make me go, oh, really, guys? Like, the military stuff was a bit... The training stuff.
Once they got back to Vulcan, I found that the way they set up the revolution was a little bit easy.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
Like the free Vulcan radio, which gave me a little bit of a giggle, really. But
Yeah, it was kind
I found it was a little bit easy. But then again, the situation was kind of cruddy to begin with, so it probably did not need a lot of fire starting to like set off that flame.
Yeah.
What I liked about the revolution was that it got out of hand. They started something, and then it just snowballed, and they had no way to contain it, so they're just like, well, we may as well go in, otherwise it's all going to happen without us. Like, accurate, because sometimes when you play those political games, it doesn't always go the way you plan it.
Yeah.
So, I liked that it didn't go quite as planned.
So we'll leave people with a public service announcement just as we cut for break. Be responsible about your revolutionary fire starting. Take it from me and her and Bill.
And Sten, apparently.
Exactly.
Is there anything else that you would like to point out before we go on to final thoughts about this book?
Trying to think whether I had any more pet peeves about this book. I think.
What about things you really liked about this book? Nothing.
I thought overall I really kind of enjoyed the book, but there was no single element of this book that really, really, really had me hooked. It was a pleasant read, but there wasn't any one thing that really had me super attached. I kind of liked the main character, but also it wasn't a strong attachment. Yeah.
Okay, the thing I really liked was how they handled Bet. But yes, for the most part, the book was sort of a lighter, not very in-depth kind of.
Yeah. I was very happy that she returned in the way that she returned.
Yes. Agreed.
Yes, it's not a literary masterpiece.
Well, no, but
it was actually a good read, an enjoyable read.
It was an enjoyable, fun read, and
and quick-paced.
Yes, very quick-paced, except where it got bogged down in the training.
Oh, that was the thing. There was a lot of different languages in the book. Like, remember from the last book that we were reviewing, like you were talking about how you really like the dialect of the townspeople, right? There was a lot of different dialects going on. Once again, especially towards that middle section that was the bogged down.
Yeah.
And that was kind of messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the way, because again, audiobook, the different dialects are handled with different accents.
Yeah.
So the guy who led the Mantis group that Sten was in, he was very, very Scottish.
Yeah. The reading of, like the dialogue with Alex, like trying to understand, read his, like apparently it was quite easy on the audiobook, but trying to read it,
it wasn't. It was confusing.
Listening to Scottish brogue, I'm sure, is much easier than trying to read Scottish brogue.
So,
just because of the language that they use, I can imagine it would be. Okay, so final thoughts, Rob.
Final thoughts. Definitely a worthwhile read. And because I'm so busy, I'm not going to run out and grab book 2, but if I had time, I would definitely look up book 2 and continue on with the series.
Mm-hmm. Bill?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I enjoyed this. It's a quick read. It's good enough, if you're getting bogged down with some of the more difficult books and so forth. It gets you through a book or whatever, makes you feel good that you've accomplished something. So, for me, sometimes that needs to be done.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy this book. Actually, I enjoy the whole series. Mind you, I'm having a bit of a slog through the second last book, but that's because I'm just so busy with other things. So.
Yeah.
I heard there's a lot of them, though. Isn't it a long
series?
series?
8.
Yeah.
So not the longest series I've ever read.
Yeah.
I could do that. For myself, I quite enjoyed this book. It's a very pleasant read. There are some tropes that you'll be very familiar with if you read extensively, or not even extensively. You'll know basically what's going on if you've read a book before. But it was still fun. It was a fun read. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't so attached to the characters, but that doesn't matter so much in this kind of book. I don't think it is just one of those. If you're reading a really heavy series and you need something light to clear your mind, this is perfect. It's a light, fun read. Really, really enjoyable. I recommend. Star rating, Bill.
3.5.
2.5.
Right in the middle. 3. Good book. Alright, who wants to pick the next one?
I'll do it.
Yeah, you picked the book last time. I think that's fair.
There was only you and me on the last one.
Yeah.
Aha! Destiny's Fall, Marie Bilodeau.
Oh, this is the second book in the Destiny series. Is it just the Destiny series? I'm sorry, Marie. I'm a terrible, terrible friend. By local Ottawa author, actually, Marie Bilodeau. So that will be the read next week. If you have any thoughts or comments about Sten, leave them in the comments down below. We also have a Goodreads.com book club. I'll leave a link to down below. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks very much. Bye! Oh yeah, like and subscribe. Bye! No!
I didn't do it. Whatever they're saying.